everyone. So, for this week, I felt that Sir Ken Robinson was really trying to tell us that being creative as a kid in school is hard because teachers may not see the real value of being creative. They want us to be something practical like a doctor or a lawyer. But they don't realize that some children aren't supposed to be like that. They're supposed to be dancers or musicians or something like that. I think that he tries to tell us that schools don't really see the importance of being creative, and that in a way, when we are in school, we lose the ability to be creative. I think in the end, he's really trying to tell us that we need to have schools start teaching the kids in different ways and teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to be different and to be in love with dancing or to be in love with music. He really tries to communicate with his audience through humor or stories. With his humor, I think that he connected with them really well because every few sentences or after he made a serious point, he would make a joke. And I think that the audience really connected well with that because we could relate easier and it wasn't so intense and we could relax a little bit and really enjoy the speech. Another way he really communicates is the stories he tells about the experiences he has when he sees children who lost their creativity or like anything that way. One story that I remember that sticks out really well to me was the little girl who was really fidgety in class and couldn't wasn't doing well in school, and the teachers told her mother that she had a learning disorder. That wasn't the case. She went to the doctor, and the doctor told her that she didn't have a learning disorder. She was just a dancer because she couldn't stay seated on her hands. She just wanted to dance. And I think that I relate really well to that because as a kid, I still have ADHD and I didn't do well in school because I was really fidgety and I just wanted to do hands-on stuff, and my teachers never wanted that because they wanted to be small and they just wanted me to write my notes. But I needed to do hands-on learning, and I eventually got that. I think that his speech was so effective because we all know that it was true and that we could relate to it because many people may have a love for being creative and schools don't enjoy that. I think that he makes a lot of good points and he puts his jokes in there, which makes it easier to relate to. And I think that in the end it's just really effective because we know it's true and we know that something needs to change, and he was bold enough to stand out and to tell us. The second video that I watched, was The Danger of a Single Story by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And she made her points by telling her story or her ways of giving of single stories and what she saw from them. She first started out talking about how she had a houseboy named Fleet, and Chimandi's mother told her that Fleet's family did not have any money or they were really poor and that they weren't able to eat food. But that wasn't really the case. When they went to Fleet's house, Chimamanda saw that even though they weren't really able to have as much nice things as her family did, Fleet's family still had their own thing. They had their basket making. And so that was an example of a single story that wasn't true. She then talks about how her roommate assumed many things when she first got to the university. And her roommate assumed that she wasn't smart, or she wasn't, not that she wasn't smart, that she wasn't as technological technologically advanced as her roommate was. And her roommate was really surprised when Chimamanda really knew how to work an oven. She knew how to listen. She knew American music. And I think that a part of that is because her roommate was told a single story of how Africa is. We see today in many ads on TV or on the internet about how Africa is only a country of disease and hunger, and while it is all of that, there are good parts to Africa and how they are advanced in a way, and while we shouldn't believe just what we see. And I think that her last thing that she really talked about was her trip to Mexico and how she expected it to be. She had believed a single story about how Mexico was poor and how she was going to see all of these people living in the homeless people and things like that. And she was disappointed in herself because she had believed a single story that she was told. I think that she tells us that we shouldn't believe in single stories because that's not the full truth. That's just what one story is. And I really connected well with that, and I think she did a really well job with that. A TED Talk is a video that is a presentation of somebody talking to hundreds or millions of people. It can be broadcasted on satellites around the world. It can be on anything, but it usually lasts up to 18 minutes for the most part. Sometimes it can vary. I believe that the purpose of TED Talks in our community is because we need to be informed of the different things in the world. We really only see one side of it, or we believe one side of it, which is our perspective, but TED Talks can open it to a whole new perspective that maybe we didn't even think of. And I think that is a beautiful thing that we all need in our life. TED Talks make us listen to people that, even though we may not agree with them, we can open our eyes to something new. I watched 3 TED Talks. I watched Self-Love by an international speaker, Caitlin Rox, and then I watched Relationships Are Hard But Why by Stan Tatkin, and then I watched Get Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable by Lovey Ajay. These were 3 different people. The first one, Caitlin Rox, is an African-American Caucasian woman who's in her early 20s, and she made a speech that I feel I related to really well because I had problems just like she did, and she really told us that we needed to love ourselves before we could do anything else, and that we needed to be the priority. And I feel that a lot of people could relate to that, and that topic choice was an amazing choice. And then she was very professional. She dressed professionally. She walked all over. She didn't really tell any jokes because it was a more serious type of presentation. But the second one I watched, Relationships Are Hard But Why, was by an older man who was Caucasian, and he made me really open my eyes to what relationships are. He made jokes about his presentation, and I think it was great because we could understand it, and he was really professional, and I think that he did a really good job on it, and that it was easy to understand because he connected well with his audience. The last TED Talk I watched was by an African-American woman who was incredibly confident And if you had heard her backstory, you wouldn't think she would be. And she really told us that we need to be able to do stuff, that we can't just stay in our little box and not get out of our comfort zone because that can harm us. And she makes a lot of points on her reasoning, which was amazing. And she used a lot of visual aids, which I really enjoyed because she would use visual aids about her domino effect, which was her main point, I feel. And I feel that she really explained well that we need to get out of our comfort zone in order to become better. And even though in the beginning of the video I wasn't really sure what it was going to be about, by the end of it I understood it, and it was an amazing performance. She was really professional. She made some jokes, but it was more making jokes of making fun of herself, which I feel is incredible, to have that kind of confidence and know that you can make fun of yourself even though you messed up, you still did great. She talked to her central idea, I felt, was that we have to speak the truth and be confident. And she made points in her videos, and she mentioned people who did something, who spoke the truth. And I feel that we should all listen to what she has to say, and I wish I could have watched more of her videos. So thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and thank you for listening.